we're talking about niching it down today and how not niching down enough is costing you thousands of dollars. Your target is not your market. The harsh truth is not niching is selfish. And I think it's really important that we pick a niche and start to narrow down. My belief is that niching is the answer. The deeper you go, the more you can help them. So our 3 steps again, really quickly, is to identify your dream client, get clear on the outcome or transformation that you get for them, and then learn, do, and then finally iterate it.
Welcome to Swift Coaches Academy, a podcast dedicated to bringing health and wellness professionals the uncensored truth behind what it really takes to succeed in the health industry with me, your host, Xenia Wood. As an accredited exercise physiologist and business owner for almost a decade, I'm on a mission to transform the lives of ambitious health professionals like you who want more and are ready to take action to create incredible impact in your careers and unlock financial freedom in your business. So join me as I speak candidly with industry leaders about the struggles and successes from within the trenches through thought-provoking conversations.
Welcome back. Little life update first. I went to Sydney recently to craft a keynote speech, a keynote presentation, and got some really valuable feedback from that, and got to meet some of my business students in person for the first time, which was so exciting. I absolutely love having like in-person catch-ups and connection points with our students. And it's actually, I haven't ever said this before anywhere yet, except to a couple of our students individually, we're actually going to be bringing some in-person workshops into 2025, which is really exciting. But I'm going to leave that sort of TBC at the moment. But anyone who is thinking potentially about joining the Biz Academy before 2025 and our prices increase, now is the time absolutely to do it before the new year, because those who don't wait on those sorts of things get rewarded and get results. And we have an incredible offer at the moment. But with Sydney, I think the things that were really cool, obviously connecting with my students and doing that in person, but we got to like sit down and workshop and brainstorm specifically on their business. And I just spent like 4 hours deep diving into creating exactly what they needed to do, action plans, step by step, and like mapping out their business for them. And they walked away with so much clarity and confidence to go and execute on those things as well. And to be honest, we actually spent a fair bit of time talking about mindset too, which I think is so underrated. But yeah, that was really cool. Today though, I'm going to talk about something that often to be honest, I feel like right now I'm having like weekly conversations with this, and I feel like I'm fighting a bit of an uphill battle with people who are potentially a little bit stuck and frustrated, but then the solutions that I'm providing, there's maybe a little bit more context needed for them to make the change. So I wanted to allow this episode to be the space to do that. So if you've read the title, you're probably aware that we're talking about niching it down today and how not niching down enough is costing you thousands of dollars. It's something that holds so many health coaches in particular back, because health coaches love to help people and they think, I want to serve as many people as I can. And in fact, the opposite is true. And I'm going to explain why today. So if you are struggling to grow an audience or get the clients that you want, or increase your income, increase your impact, scale your business, then I hope that by the end of this episode, you will have a different perspective on niching down, and potentially, if you're ready to take those steps, you'll have some action plans from me to be able to do that as well today. So the problem is that when I say niching down, I get a lot of backlash, and these are the common things that maybe you're thinking too. So the first thing is, well, I'm afraid of losing clients, either current clients or future potential clients, right? And so I think the thing is when you niche down, your current clients don't really mind that you're trying to like online presence or marketing, trying to talk to a different subset of people or a narrower market, because they already know, like, and trust you. And they probably, in fact, love you and love the results that they're getting and love what you're providing them. So realistically, they understand that what you're doing is to help your future business. And if they're still getting great results, there's no reason why they would leave you just because you start talking about something that doesn't directly serve them, because realistically, a lot of our marketing efforts should be designed for new clients, not necessarily our current clients. There's different avenues as to how we talk to our current clients. And so in terms of losing current clients, hopefully that sort of settles anyone who's feeling a little bit like, all worried about that, right? Then we talk about fear of losing potential future clients or turning people away, right? And I have this saying that I say often to my students, which is your target is not your market. Right? I'm going to say that again. Your target is not your market. And what that means is that if you think of like a dartboard with a bullseye in the middle of your dream client, exactly who you want, right? Right on that bullseye, you may get some people who splatter on your dartboard, and you can still take those people on, particularly if you're early days, right? I'm not saying you have to only take on the exact person who you want, and everyone who falls like, one sort of step outside of that is not someone that you can take on. That's not what I'm saying. But it will come to a point where you get to narrow that as you go. So when we're looking at it, we are aiming for the bullseye every single time when we talk, when we speak about it with our messaging. But like, let's say your clients are typically even, let's say, like young women who are beginners in the gym, right? They might say, hey, can you train my partner who's a male? And at the early days, you might say yes to that. And that is totally okay in the early days when you are still trying to bring in and create a full client list, okay? When you get to full capacity, then you get to start to be a little bit more picky and choosy with who you want. Then you can start to say, oh no, and refer them on to someone else. And the great thing about that is that if you have great referral partners and you're like, hey, I don't like to train men or I don't like to train bodybuilders, but there's this really great person that you should go and speak to, then they get more of the clients that they love and can serve better. And then in turn, if you have a great referral relationship, they should refer you people who are meant for you that they don't love serving as well. And I think this kind of comes into our scarcity mindset where we're like, oh my God, well, we're not going to get anyone else. But the more giving we can be, the more we will receive. And I think it's trusting that giving, people want to give back and they want to help support us back. And so sometimes it is taking that leap of faith and going, you know what, this client isn't my favorite client. And I definitely think that there are other people who could get them better results. I'm going to refer them on. And then having that conversation that's two-way so that they can do the same for you, so that you can both be working with the incredible clients that you know and love and can get better results for. The other thing is that I get some people who will say, oh, well, like that's reducing the amount of people I could work with or the potential market. And I said this to a client the other day. They're like, oh, well, like with bodybuilders, this was the demographic he wants to work with. He wants to work with bodybuilders. He's like, oh, well, like there's not enough of them. And I was like, okay, but you're working in the online space. Are you telling me like how many clients, let's say, do you need to be at full capacity for your online stuff? And he was like, oh, I'd love to start with, because he already has an in-person business. He's like 10. And I'm like, okay, so are there potentially not 10 people who are looking for online bodybuilding coaching in the world? Like, let's get real. There's billions of people on the planet. There's probably like hundreds of thousands of bodybuilders on Earth. And then if we even reduce it to people who speak English, right? Like, there's still such a big audience for that. And I think it kind of comes from like, well, if I have a population of every single person in the world that I could potentially work with, that's a bigger audience than bodybuilders. True. However, what happens when you try and work with everyone is you speak to no one, right? Let's say that I was a business coach for literally any business, e-commerce, service-based businesses, could be landscapers, could be bodybuilding businesses, could be painters, could be, I don't know, like electrical engineers, like anyone, right? Do you think that there would be more people who would be super confident in my ability to deliver them results if I was for everyone as a business coach, or if I said, hey, I work with health coaches? And so if you're a health coach, you go, oh, like she's for me. She understands it. She gets it. She's been there. She's done it. And so I feel personally more confident going to a business coach who's done what I'm doing, right? Like I'm not going to a business coach who just generalizes. I want them to have like the proven framework, the roadmap, the strategies for my industry. And I think that that is really important. Yes, we can learn from other industries, but if we're choosing someone to work with, would you prefer to go to the fitness trainer who works with even, let's say pain or musculoskeletal rehab, let's say, so muscles, bones, joints, rehab, you guys should all be familiar with that. Let's say there's that option, but let's say you've torn your ACL. So yeah, you could go to them. Or let's say there's an ACL specialist rehab expert. Who are you more likely, without knowing any other information, who are you more likely to choose to get the best results with you? Of course, it's the expert. And so why do we think it's any different when it comes to our own business? I think it's because we have this idea that we want to help as many people as we can. But the harsh truth is, not niching is selfish, right? The reason that I say that is because you actually serve your clients less. And so what I mean by that is, let's say that you are doing musculoskeletal rehab and all the things that encompass that. And so you're doing every single joint, every single muscle, every single bone, like all of the injuries, right? How much time can you dedicate to learning and upskilling on ACLs? How much time and effort can you dedicate to upskilling on shoulder pathologies, on low back pain, on ankle issues, right? On, let's say you even do everything. So weight loss, we add in there, we add in female hormone issues. Like there's so many things and we can't be an expert in that. So what happens is, as a result, let's say we have 30 clients and every client has something slightly different. That's 30 different things that we need to go and research and get good at and improve at. And we have split our attention and stretched ourselves so much that now that one client who wants to get their ACL rehabbed gets 1/30th of the attention of our upskilling, of our professional development, and of our ability to get them the result. How fair is that for that client? I think that when we think about it that way and we go, if I was in my client's shoes, what would I want? I would want someone who is a specialist and who knows exactly what to do, who's had proven time and time again results with the exact thing that I'm going through. That is who I'm looking for. And that is where I'm going to pay more money, right? Like I'm going to spend far more money on someone who has a proven track record in the exact thing that I need help with, right? I talk about this all the time. It's kind of like coaches who say that they do bespoke training programs for every single person. I think that when you think about that, it's like, okay, well, if you go to a surgeon, let's say, and they go, oh, well, you know, every single surgery is bespoke. And so, you know, we'll get in there and we'll just sort of try something and we'll just do something. No, you want the surgeon who goes, this is what we're going to do. This is the roadmap for you. This is the type of surgery we're going to do. And I've done this 1,000 times before you. And I think that, yes, we can have personalization in programmings and there's going to be differences in terms of availability and equipment and time that they have allocated to that. But if we are the specialists just in, let's go back to the ACL example, if we're just a specialist in that, there's still a lot of variation in terms of time, amount of time someone can spend doing that ACL program or, you know, what they can invest in it, the equipment that they have. But we are so clear on how to get someone a result when they have a torn ACL through to, let's say, return to sport, that we are going to be chosen over that generalist who does everyone. Okay. So the harsh truth is, not niching is selfish. And I think it's really important that we pick a niche and start to narrow down. The important thing to note is that your niche is not a tattoo, right? It's not something that you're like writing in the concrete and you can never ever go over it again. You get to iterate it. You get to try things. Business is about trial and error and making mistakes and correcting as you go and sort of figuring out your path along the way, right? If you feel like you take a misstep, then take a different step, as opposed to going, I'm just going to work with every single person, and then we get some hidden costs from that. So I want to talk to that today as well. I spoke before about if you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And I think this is really clear when it comes to our messaging. If I say like, oh, I can help you with weight loss, I can help you with building muscle, I can help you if you're a beginner or if you're super advanced, it's like, well, what are you good at? Like, how do you get me that result? What's the pathway to get me there? And if you are just going to make everything bespoke, then how do I know that that's going to get me a proven outcome? Well, I don't, because we're trying it for the first time and you've not tried it on anyone else, right? So speaking to everyone and saying, hey, everyone come and do training for whatever your result is being overly broad. And it's going to mean that we're going to lose these clients to other people who are more niche. We see this all the time. And I think the hidden cost is actually the money that doesn't end up in your pocket and the clients that you don't get to serve because you decided not to niche. Okay. We know that no one pays big bucks to generalists, right? The GP is like, I don't know, 70, 80 bucks for 15 minutes. The ACL surgeon is like $20,000 for a couple of hours, right? Huge difference in price because one is a specialist, right? And I know anyone who's saying like GPs are a specialty too. Yes, absolutely. But I hope you understand the example that I'm providing. Next thing is that clients will hesitate because they don't believe you are the best option for them. So if you get to sales conversations or you're having initial consults with people and they're kind of like not sure at the end, part of that could be because you're saying that you work with everyone, right? Because they're not sure that you can actually get them the result, and therefore they might go and find an option from someone who's more confident, who's done more reps in the tank in that specific niche, and who is going to almost guarantee them a result, right? Because they have that confidence and that conviction through reps in the tank. The other thing is you don't stand out with your marketing. When we're talking about online, your market feels really scattered. You get reduced engagement. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this recently, but particularly, if you're not really clear on who you serve, you'll get less people engaging in your stuff because one week you're talking about weight loss, the next week you're talking about building muscle, the next week you're talking about how great Pilates is, the next week you're talking about like footy players. And the person who wanted weight loss is now kind of like switched off and gone, oh, well, maybe this is not for me, right? Whereas if every single post was about weight loss, they'd be like, oh my God, it's for me, it's for me, it's for me. And then they finally, after seeing you for, I think it's like between 4 and 11 touch points, it's about 7 hours of content now before people typically buy from you. If they're seeing 7 hours of inconsistent content and like a third of it's for them, either it's going to take them a lot longer to get to you, or they'll just go, well, it's not really for me. Maybe they switch off. Maybe the algorithm sends them somewhere else, right? It's going to lead to a confused audience, and confused audiences or people don't buy. We know this, right? If someone says, here's my 17,000 step process, and they're kind of running you through it, and then people are going to go, whoa, a lot of information. And I'm not really sure, like if it's hard to explain, or if you can't remember it, it's not simple, people are less likely to purchase. Okay. The other thing is, and I want to tell a story with this, attracting new clients or audiences means that you have to create multiple messages and multiple audiences. So let's say, I actually had, a client who was doing this, and she was like, oh, well, I work with, rehab and I do everything. It's like, fuck. Okay, well, she wasn't committed at this point to narrow down. And so what needed to happen is, in terms of generating leads, creating like free guides to download and things like that, she had to do something for the shoulder and for the hip and for the knee and for the spine. And it just became this huge task that was like 5 or 6 times the amount of effort and energy and research and just making it that was required, versus let's say that she was like, I'm going to specialize in low backs or spines or whatever it is. And then everything could be targeted to that. Okay. And she would need to do 1/6 of the work because it's like one joint or one, section of the body versus doing it for every single section. And you can see how when you're messaging and you're marketing, if you had to do 6 times the amount of effort every single time to try and get that person who was for low back pain, then it's going to be so much harder for you as a business owner. I really love the idea of simple, streamlined businesses. And I think when we try and serve everyone, we're really, really broad with what we do and potentially the outcomes that we can get as well. It's going to mean that our effort and energy is dispersed, and we actually get far less results than if we went deep in on one thing. Okay. So my belief is that niching is the answer. And to tell you the truth, I don't think that I am niche enough yet. And I think that this is a narrowing process. So if you've just started and you're like, I work with everyone, then let's just take one step in from that. Okay. And let's maybe choose something that is bigger than everyone. I mean, women, I don't think is a niche, but like if you can get a little more niche than that, we'll start and then we can refine as we go. The deeper you go, the more you can help them. So before I said that not niching is selfish. So I think to niche, you help your clients more. Back to the ACL example, if you were just the ACL specialist, you could spend all of your time researching ACLs, how to better rehab them, what you need to do, the setup, the preparation, the assessments required, and you would be up to date on the latest on that specific injury. And you would be so much more confident faster. You would get your results with your clients quicker, and they'd feel like, oh my God, this person is specifically for me, talking to me in all of their messaging, because everything's about ACLs and I have a torn ACL. So I definitely have to see the ACL girl, right? And we might know people like this on the internet too, like the shoulder guy, or the shoulder physio rather. Jared Powell, I did some work with him, and he still, shock horror, behind closed doors, took on people who weren't for shoulders for quite a long time. But his public facing persona was, I'm the shoulder guy. And he attracted more and more shoulders, and then was slowly able to weed out people who were not shoulder related, to the point where now he has like wait lists, and then can scale his business through courses, through hiring people, and through whatever he wants, because of the fact that he started really niche and got clear on who he wanted to serve. Okay. The other thing is, you get to know their pain and their desires really, really quickly, and can articulate them much better. The pain and desires of someone who wants to lose weight versus the pain of someone who's had an ACL rupture are very different. So if you're trying to get an audience or people to create change or move forward with you, then we want to talk to their pain points and their desires, which means that with weight loss, it's, you're feeling a little bit more frumpy, your clothes are not starting to fit you, you're not feeling great being naked with your partner anymore, or you're struggling to attract a mate, all those pain points, right? Whereas the pain points of ACL is like, you're not able to play the sport that you love. You feel like you've lost your community of your support people within the sport. You hate sitting on the sidelines. Very different pain points. And I'm not going to go into the desires. I'm sure you can figure those out yourself for your audience, but you can see that I'd be talking to two very different people, right? And so the other person's going to switch off. Okay. And so if we get really broad with it and we say, oh, yep, like your pain, your result, then I'm like, well, I don't really resonate with this. It doesn't speak to me, and it's not compelling for me. Okay. I wanted to talk to a brief example in terms of how niching really, really skyrocketed one of our students in our Biz Academy program. And what she did is she specialized in working with women, and it was specifically, it was like, I can't even remember what it was called, hypothalamic amenorrhea, right? Most people are like, what the fuck is that? But if you don't have it, then you are instantly switched off. But if you have that, she was probably literally the only person on the internet talking about this specifically in relation to health and fitness. Okay. And so if you found this, you were like, oh my God, this is the one person who, it's a blue ocean, right? The one person who's speaking to exactly what I have. And so there's no other option for me to choose if I want help with this, because this person speaks exactly to my niche. And that is the power, especially if we're wanting to go online. That is how niche we need to be, right? I do think this is different if you come to a physical location, because if you live in a small town and you were so niche, I talk about the being like the beak specialist for parrots if you're a vet, right? If you live in a small town, there might be like one person with a parrot who has a beak issue, right? And so that's going to be really hard. But if you're working in the online space, and I think a lot of us would benefit from transitioning into that, at least part of our business, and creating hybrid programs, and that's what we do with our clients. But niching into this gets great results. So the hypothalamic amenorrhea, a client who did that, she went from working for herself as an exercise physiologist, working for a company as an employee exercise physiologist, and in 3 months through her business, went from 0 clients when she started with me through to 20 people in a group program in 3 months. She moved to Bali. She also paid for her partner to work in her business with her. So she moved her and her partner over to Bali, full-time business within 3 months, because she got so fucking clear on her niche. And I don't think that there's any other better example of how incredible niching down can really be for you, because there are people who have it, right? If there is a market and other people are working with those clients, then there's market share, and you have the ability to take some of that market share, or those clients who have that thing, need that thing that you have and you serve, and the more niche you can be, the better. So hopefully today you have at least moved or nudged yourself forwards towards, okay, maybe I need a bit more of a niche. Maybe I'm not niche enough. Oh shit, I got called out. Like I am the one working with women. So let's get clear on that. So the 3-step process to nailing your niche and narrowing your niche is first to identify your dream client. Who is that? What are their fears? What are their desires? And let's get clear on who we're serving. So not just the demographics, not just their age, their gender, where they live, but the psychographics. What are they feeling? What are they going through? What do they want to feel, right? Second step is get clear on the outcome or the transformation that you create, and they need to want it as well, right? If you have this outcome and the outcome is improve your, I don't know, your respiration rate by 1 point on the scale, and people don't really want that, then you're potentially serving a need that isn't actually there to be met. Okay, so you need to make sure that these clients actually want it. And the way you do that is find people who are your ideal clients and ask. Yeah, like you could ask me, but if I'm not your ideal client, it's going to be really hard. So you need to go and get out there and speak to them. Third thing is to iterate. Now, we have a saying in the Biz Academy in terms of our 3 steps to anything that you learn or absorb in the content, which is learn, do, iterate. Right? So learn something new today. Hopefully you learned something new with your niche, then do it, go and implement it, and then get feedback to then iterate it and go again. Okay. We are not creating a tattoo with our niche. It is not something that will be there forever and it has to be this one thing. However, I do think that you're doing yourself and your clients a disservice if you choose to stay broad and you choose to try and serve everyone because of what we've spoken about today. So our 3 steps again, really quickly, is to identify your dream client, get clear on the outcome or transformation that you get for them, and then learn, do, and then finally iterate it. I hope this has helped you. If it has, then please share this with a friend. And as always, move swiftly.
I have a tiny favor to ask of you, and that is to just hit that subscribe button if you have not done it yet. If you've made it this far, then I hope that this has been valuable for you and for us to get more incredible guests in front of your earlobes and faces. If you're watching us on YouTube, then please do that now. And if you have any feedback or suggestions for me or something that was a golden nugget that really stood out to you in this episode, I would absolutely love if you flicked me a message over on Instagram at Xenia Wood Official. Until next episode, and in whatever you do, move swiftly.